Welcome back to the Get Loved Up podcast, your number one resource for inspiration and motivation to live your purpose, make healthy living a priority, and thrive doing what you love. I'm your host, Koya Webb, a small town girl who chased her dreams and caught them, a former track and field athlete who healed using spirituality and yoga, and an entrepreneur who didn't let sexual assault, racism, and insecurities dim her light. And now it's your turn to allow these episodes with some of the top voices in spirituality, wellness, and entrepreneurship to inspire you to thrive. Let's get loved up together. Yvonne Orji is a Nigerian-American Emmy-nominated actress, comedian, and writer who is best known for her performance as Issa Rae's best friend and fan favorite, Molly, on the HBO comedy series Insecure, which garnered her an Emmy nomination for Best Supporting Actress, and her newest show, My Mom, Your Dad, on HBO Max, where she spreads her talents as an executive producer and host. As a distinguished stand-up comedian, Yvonne previously opened up for Chris Rock on various stops of his Total Blackout tour and headlined her first comedy tour, Lagos to L'Oreal, at the top of 2020. Her one-hour stand-up special, Mama, I Made It, was shot in two places Yvonne called home while growing up, Washington, D.C. and Nigeria. Orji's film credits include Universal's Night School alongside Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish, as well as Hulu's Vacation Friends alongside Lil Rel and John Cena. Her debut book, Bamboozled by Jesus, How God Tricked Me into the Life of My Dream, was released in spring of 2020. In addition to Yvonne's work on camera, she is executive producing an autobiographical comedy entitled First Gen, which is currently in development at Disney. Outside of her creative work, Orji is dedicated to her charitable efforts. In 2018, she spent 6 months working in post-conflict Liberia with Population Service International, PSI, an NGO that utilizes social marketing and the adoption of healthy behaviors. While in Liberia, she worked with a group of talented youth to help build a mentoring program, as well as a weekly talk show that helped educate and prevent teen pregnancy and HIV/AIDS. Orji has brought her work with the youth and community back to the States, where she is currently involved with RED campaigns and faith-based youth ministries. Before moving to Los Angeles, Yvonne earned a bachelor's degree in sociology and a master's of public health from George Washington University. Yvonne, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, boo, hey.
Hey, girl, hey. Oh. Girl, I'm so excited because first of all, I mean, I've been a fan of yours since Jump. And it wasn't until I met you recently at our mutual friend Elaine, like I did not know who I was going to see at Elaine's baby shower doing the sound healing and holding space.
Her baby blessing. Because she doesn't like a shower. Her baby blessing.
Blessing. You're right. It was a baby blessing. And everybody there got blessed.
For sure. You were getting the sound back, and I was like, hallelujah, amen, yes.
Girl, I was trying not to laugh during the experience, but I was like, oh yeah, she getting her whole entire life, and you did not cease to, I was laughing the entire time, the entire day. And then I got to sit right across from you at dinner, so I was literally, you had me cracking up the entire time. I'm like, am I okay? Because I just could not stop laughing. And of course, that's your role as an actress. But in real life, you are just so much fun and so hilarious. I was just like, I gotta have her on the podcast.
Oh, well, thank you, boo. Yeah, no, there were so many things happening at that night. There was no power. There was good food. There were people doing the most in the best way. And I was just like, we just gonna act like we not. No, I'm gonna talk about it.
Yes. And you did like everything. And I'm just like, and I think that's what made it so much fun is that it was so relaxed. It was so natural. And just like, I feel like getting to know you outside of your book, which, oh my goodness, we got to get into that. Bamboozled by Jesus. Like, I'm just like, she is giving me life right now. Like, who is this woman? So can you tell me, I mean, we can start it now. Can you tell me like, what inspired you, first of all, to write this book? And did you have the name first or did you just like, the name came later?
No, I had the name first. Like when I tell you, writing a book was not necessarily a thing that I was like, I gotta do. You know how like I had some like milestones. I was like, I need to do this. I want to do that. Writing a book was like, I only actually really ever do anything if I have something to say. Just like if I'm just being honest. You know, like I don't really do comedy specials if it's not going to be special. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, I have to be like intentional with, okay, yeah, now I want to do that. And this is what I want to say. Because then that drives me. If I'm just doing stuff just either for money grab or one, I don't really do a lot of things for money grabs for sure. But just because somebody else wanted, like my heart's not in it and you're going to get that. And I only do things really that I am mostly super passionate about. And so with the book, and that was a God thing. He was just all like, I feel like you got something to tell these people. And I was like, do you know that I'm in the middle of shooting? I am working on my first special. I was like shooting a movie. And God was like, and I brought all those things to you. Now this is for me. Like the book was for him. All the other glitz and glamour, that's for me. And I was like, okay, well, you set me straight, sir. What you want me to talk about? And so when I sat down to like accept the idea, like, girl, you're going to do this, I was just like, oh, you know what? I want to bring people along on the journey because I'm really not that far removed from like the people who are still on the beginnings of the journey. Because for me, it was like, I'm very happy to be here in my, Prince Akeem voice. And I'm just like, I remember it was such a trip, like shooting first, second, even the 5th season of Insecure is just like, 5 years ago, like I was sharing salads with no meat and no guac, so that thing of like, all things are possible. And so that's really what I wanted the book to be about is like, I'm not saying this is somebody who's had like a 50-year career and all these accolades. I'm saying this is somebody who was you 5 seconds ago. And so I'm really not that special. I'm just available to be used by God. And if that is what you are too, baby, understand and trust it's going to happen for you. Here are some of the tools that help me. Because I like to say my faith and my Nigerian gangstar were the two things that helped me in success. And so that was just really the nuggets, the like no holds bar. Because a lot of people talk about like, because you just out here, you got to do what you got to do. It's like, okay, what does that mean? What are the tangible skills? Or people don't talk and they're like, well, back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all love me. Okay, when back then when nobody wanted you, what did you do? And it's just like, hey man, it's just every day I'm hustling. These are not sentences. And so I wanted to give people just like the real tangible, the crazy things I did, if it's giving my rent money in the offering basket when I was like, but I need to a place to live, sir, or just like giving God the big bag to fill, whatever it was. I didn't just have flashy titles. I was like, this is actually what I did and what I was willing to do.
I love that. I think what I love the most about pretty much everything you said throughout the book, I just feel like and I don't know if anyone else has ever said it, but you're just like unapologetically spiritual. And I think in a day and age where we have so many like, oh, this religion and that religion, this is not religion, this is spiritual, da 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 da. And I think when I read that book, I listened to it, because of course I wanted to listen to your voice. So I got an audio book.
The audio book, you got a little bit more of my pizzazz. You're like, so what we gonna do, sis?
Exactly. If y'all didn't listen to the audiobook, go back, listen to the audiobook. Because I don't even want to consume it without the audio going at the same time, even if I go back, But I just feel like you were so unapologetically spiritual in your own way. And I feel like you give people permission to be the same. Like it doesn't have to align with what other people think your spirituality should look like. And with spirituality being such a big pillar in Get Loved Up and on the Get Loved Up podcast, I want you to share a little bit about like, have you always been like that? Or was it a journey to being able to express yourself so authentically when it comes to spirituality? Even saying some things like, okay, I know y'all, this might not, sit right with some of my Christian friends, stuff like that is things that I can remember just being like, oh, well, she just like talked about the elephant in the room and just let that go.
Yeah, I mean, I like honesty. I think so many of us are lied to in our lives every day, like, and like little lies, not like, what? My mama, not my mama. That's a big lie. But like so many of us are lied to in our lives. And so or just like not giving all the information. And so we walk around thinking one thing when it's really the other, or not, or like believing half a truth. It's just, so I'm just kind of like, hey fam, I don't claim to know everything. I didn't go to anybody's seminary. I tell you that from jump. This is really about what being in a relationship with a God that I love and who I believe loves me back, what that truly looked like. And when I got frustrated with him, when he got frustrated with me, and like, I've never been married. I imagine in a relationship as such, like you have those real conversations and you have those real ebbs and flows. And I'm like, I think people think that they can't have that with Jesus. And I'm like, says who? Like, he can take it. Like, Mary and Martha were like, if you had been here, guess who wouldn't have died? Lazarus. And it's just like, we read it like, Father, the one you loved, but them sisters was pissed. Okay. Like, you the Messiah? You the one raising dead bodies? Then why did you Jesus is like, okay, you know what? I understand. You're not you when you're hungry, grab a Snicker. This is what I came to do. I want a real relationship with you in a different way. I want you to know that I'm well able to resurrect dead things. And so it's just like, oh, snap. And so when you look at a story like that, you're able to break it down and you're actually able to tap into the human emotions that those people over 2,000 years ago experienced. It's not different than what we experience. The language is different, but like the emotions are the same, human to humans. And so I think in what you described, me giving people access to be able to like be real with God, be real with ourselves, be real with each other. It's like we try to like be hard or like closed off or like God's too busy. Like he got other things. It's like, fam, he numbered the hairs on your head. He's not that busy, and even if he is, he got it. It's like we can trust that like, the IRS is not so busy to give us our refund check, and it's a couple, million people in America, but like some way, somehow the all knowing, all powerful, omniscient, like omnipresent God. It's like, I don't want to bother him about like my stuff. Okay. And so, for me writing have I always been this bold? I think I got saved when I was 17. I was Catholic before, and I was always just kind of like, yeah, this is what it means to be a good Nigerian girl. Go to church with your mom and, make straight A's. Got it. Check. And then when I got saved, I came into an understanding of like relationship with God, which was like, you could do that. And I think when I wrote the book, I kind of went back to that 17-year-old girl who didn't know you could do that. And I'm just like, I wonder how many other people in their big age don't know that you can have that or don't know what that looks like in the realness of it. So let me go back to that, like that joy, that angst, that like whatever it was, and write from that perspective, because it was very freeing. And I say a lot of times, the thing that's so hard for other people when it comes to faith and Christianity is the thing that was probably easiest for me, because I was looking for something to make sense, right? In my life, a lot of things did not make sense. I was bullied and I was like, I don't understand, just because I got an accent, like it didn't make sense to me why the girls didn't like me. A lot of things didn't make sense to me. But then it was like, so let me get this straight. You love God. He tell you to do a couple things, and like there's like resounding blessings that flow from just like your surrender and dedication. Nigga, this is plug and chug. This is baby. Like this makes sense. Like I almost am just like, this is a no-brainer, And I think I may have oversimplified faith in that. It's just like, let's go for it. Sure, why not? Whereas people resist that and like, nah, but I want to live my life. You know, I want like what I want, and this feels good. This feels hard. And I'm like, maybe, but the blessings. Did you know that there's a reward? It's like people play the lottery all the time. All the time. They put $1 every time it gets to the Super Powerball. Those blessings are not guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? You may win $20. Every once in a while, somebody wins the Mega Million, but it don't stop you from putting in $1. And it's kind of like the same thing with God. It's just like, well, these blessings kind of are guaranteed. Like it's written, like one of us got to be a liar. That's the thing I always used to say with God. I'm like, well, one of us is lying. And it better not be you, you know, because like I will renegotiate this contract. And so I think when faith made sense to me in the most basic way of yes and cause and effect, and not just like because I want the blessing. What, you know, like I feel like whatever you got to do to get in is what you're gonna have to do to get in. As a 17-year-old who was searching for identity, searching for community, searching for whatever, that was my end. Tic-tac-toe, connect for. This makes sense. Then when you got in, when you know, just same way like Jesus did the disciples, I will make you fishers of men. They were like, I don't know what that means, but like we got fish now, so let's go. Mm-hmm. It's like for me, I was like, I'm hooked, and then you get in it, and then you get more understanding, which is life. First, you start to crawl, then you're like, wait, I guess I won't fall down. Then you walk, and you're like, oh, dang, my legs are wobbly. Then you start running. So it's just like it's the same thing with faith.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that the more you do it, the more you are. And so even though you seem like you were born with it, I mean, I definitely, and it can relate. And I think what some people experience and what I've experienced is that, okay, you start walking, then you start crawling, and then you get guilted, you get shamed, and you get silenced, right? And then all of a sudden you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. Have you ever felt that before? Or you're like, whatever, I'm saying what I want to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I start the book off by saying, like, I get it. I understand why a lot of people are not in the church. There've been a lot of people who have abused people in the name of Christianity. There've been a lot of, heck, there's been land stolen in the name of Christianity. There's been, just disappointment. So, yeah, people have ruined Christianity. God is like, these are not my foot soldiers. I don't those. Like God is like, please stop listening to these people. They're giving me a bad rep. And sometimes some of them start off good, and then you're just like, but I mean, the same thing happened with Adam and Eve. They started off good, and he was like, you got one job, fam. One job. Don't eat that tree. Everything else, free game. And they're like, did he really say, and so it's just like if Adam and Eve, and they have Instagram, they didn't have nothing, no one else to be jealous of. It was just them. All they had to do was be naked and have sex. That's it. That's all they had to do. And it still wasn't enough. So, so yes, people will ruin even the good stuff that God has preordained and predestined for them. So that doesn't change in church. People will ruin the good stuff that God has preordained and predestined for them. It just sucks because in their ruining that, it ruins it for a lot of other people who can't get over that. So that's kind of like trash and unfortunate. So I get it when people are like, that's cool. I don't really rock with that. I'm good on that. I acknowledge that. And at the same time, I'm also cognizant of the fact that like we get ruined by our families. We still love them. Mm-hmm. We get ruined by our jobs. We still go, yeah. It's like, so we figured it out in other areas. We haven't figured it out in the area of like Christianity and church and God. So
that part, I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that because people ask me all the time, because I teach yoga and spirituality and things like that and building your relationship with God. And they were like, but do you believe this? And if you don't believe certain things that, they might believe, then, are you a Christian and things like that? And I do believe a lot of things, like you said, people have abused different parts of the Bible and different doctrines and things like that. And I feel like when I speak on things like that, it doesn't mean anything about my relationship with God. It also doesn't mean anything about my relationship with Christianity, because that's how I grew up. That's what I know. And I think that's the hard part, is that when people grow in their spirituality or grow in their relationship with God, like you said, it's they sometimes feel like, okay, well, because I see this negative thing in Christianity or these negative things in, Buddhism or Catholicism or things like that. But I love what you said. Just because there is bad things in the world, in religion, in different places, doesn't mean we have to completely reject it. Some people do, some people don't. But I really like that philosophy of, like, our parents, some people completely reject their parents. Some people accept them with all their flaws. But I truly think, in the name of compassion, when we're able to have compassion for the darkness and realize in the world, in the cycle of the world, there's darkness and there's so much power in that. And I know you two are really big on relationship, and that's something I really want to talk to you, how much you value relationship, not only the relationship you just talked about with your spirituality, but also a relationship with people. Is there a connection between the two, and how do you feel like you're able to nurture such strong relationships?
Yeah, I mean, for me growing up, I think I was void of a lot of relationships. And so I know what that's like to be on the outside, on the outskirts. I know what that's like to want relationship and it like not want you back. And you're like, well, what the heck? And so I kind of made the conscious decision of just like, not on my watch. It's just like, as a kid, I don't know. You just like, you make vows, or you like things are like ingrained in you, and you're just like, yeah, I don't like that feeling, so I don't want anyone else to feel that way. And so for me, I am just like, hey, I'm rooting for the underdog. I love people for them, not for what they do, which is very anti-Nigerian. You're like, what do you do? Oh, okay, I can talk to you. It's like, well, what the hell? And so I recognize, I mean, I've been burnt a lot of times because I think that desire and that willingness to just like, hi, how are you? What, you're amazing. It's like, I think people gravitate to that and then like suck the juices from that and then like spit out the seeds. And you're just like, wait a minute. We weren't here to just get sucked. We were here to like build and, build up. But I don't think I'm grateful that I have not let that harden my heart, because for everybody that leaves in such a fantastical way, there are those who have come and stayed in such an even more beautiful way. And so it's like, you know what? Yes, I've had to like curate boundaries and who gets to like go into the inner court, because I was very much like an inner court immediately kind of person. And it's just like, oh, okay, I see where I can edit. That's cool. And then now it's just like my game recognized game, your tribe, and like my detector is better. Like I'm able to suss out. I'm like, okay, I don't know about this one. A little bit better than before. I think if you like old me, if you just were like, I love God and I want to do something with my life. Oh my God, me too. Let's go. Let's link arms. Let's thrive together. And yeah, people were like, well, I mean, I didn't think we would like be on this road like together. And I was like, wait, what?
What is kind of the things that you look for, like when it comes to a good friend? One thing that I love about in the book is like, how you were talking about your relationship with Issa Rae and how, you really, really supported her and really like stood for her. What is it that you look for in a friend, and what is it that you look for in people that you support?
I mean, growth, people who are committed to growing and are honest. Like, maybe, like, before I get into any relationship, I'm like, just don't lie to me. Because the minute you lie to me, it's a wrap. Like, we're not going back up, because I'm giving you, I think a lot of people are not able to have hard conversations. And so they think that, like, having hard conversations with somebody else, like, is too much for them. Like they make the decision already that having a hard conversation with somebody is too much. And I'm like, I'm telling you up front, deal with whatever my reaction is, but my reaction will be worse if you lie to me. just honesty, baby. It seems easy, but you'd be amazed. And like people, like even the white lies, like why was that the thing you wanted to lie about? Why? You know, like we can anyway. So honesty, good communication. I need people that make me feel safe. And it's like, you know, we all have our insecurities. We all have the areas in our lives that we are so vulnerable in and we're working on. And we need people around us, not people that will coddle us, but people that will make us feel safe in the midst of all of those things. Because if you're also committed to growing, you're working on that. But there's a difference between growing when somebody's like, just do it, hurry up. And it's like, I don't want to, and you retreat, as opposed to like, hey fam, I know this is hard, but you got it. Like you've done hard things before, girl. Like, listen, you'll figure it out. But if you need help, like I'm right here. Those are two different motivations. And one makes you feel a lot safer and you're able to actually thrive, or you're able to know like, okay, if I fail, or if I fall, I know that like they'll catch me and they won't judge me and they won't, you know. So those are the kind of like the people who can hold your heart and you can be honest without judgment. Cause it's amazing how many people like judge the heck out of you. And not like, how do I say it? Not like I'm able to tell my friends like, hey girl, now okay, so why did you do that? Okay, so what about that? Like registered as like a good idea, because I just want to know what your thought process is. That you can ask questions to be like, baby, we moved on from this. We moved on from them. Like, talk to me. And that's not judgy. That's like, I need to understand where you are, and I need you to hear where you weren't. And it's like sometimes like people just made bad decisions, and you're just like, all right, well that's cool. Like I still love you. We're not gonna do that no more, though, right? Okay, cool. Because baby, this is not a pattern. This could be a one-time thing. You know, you just have to like know the difference. But like, you don't like, sometimes people feel already bad. You don't need to make them feel worse. Like, and so I really look for friendships that hold space, for those moments when we're not our best, and that celebrate you in those moments when we are, right? There was a meme that somebody sent me. And that was like, if people, you know, fall out like of your life, they kind of always been like sneaky from day one, something like that. Like, and I just like, and I just didn't, I was like, no, really? And she was just like subconsciously. And in my mind, I'm just like, I didn't want to believe it because I'm like, well, what if circumstances changed? And she was just like, I believe it. And it's a thing that I've been thinking about, like, yeah, because I'm not really good with ulterior motives. Like, I'm really like, really what you see is what you get. You know, and the people who are closest to me, they're like, we know when you're having a bad day. We know, you know, there's too much of me that when I'm not the version of me that they are accustomed to, they're like, yo, what's good? You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like when you're an open book and you realize that people could have ulterior motives, it kind of rocks your world because you're like, huh? But like when?
Like, yeah. That's real talk. I mean, it's the energy, right? You can feel this energy, and sometimes it's fear, but sometimes it's like, wait, no, a red flag, you know? And I think discerning over time, okay, what is this that I'm feeling? What is this pull that I'm feeling? What is this heart that I'm feeling? And not judging not only the person, but also not judging the feeling right away. Because I feel like as women, we're intuitive, right?
Girl, I have been doing EMDR therapy, and it's like a specialized form of therapy that like deals with the nervous system. And because as a lot of us are intellectual, a lot of us are heady, talk therapy, we'll come into the therapist session like, these are my issues, like how we gonna fix it? Okay, cool. And it's like, we're very aware, but like we over rationalize so many things that EMDR is like, your body don't lie. So when your body's getting hot at a memory, when your body starts twitching, convulsing, when pain, it's like where trauma is trapped and the body's like, alert, alert, alert. So EMDR, it shuts off your mind and like, well, it doesn't shut off your mind because like your subconscious is always on, but like your body tells on you. It tells on you even when your mouth wants to like say something else. And so every time since doing EMDR, I've looked back at like people who are no longer in my life. And I'm just like, I knew there was always a point. There was always that one point where something happened and it made me be like, huh, but I didn't address it. I didn't, hit it on its head. I just like reasoned my way out of it. Like, well, surely, no, they don't mean that. They're not talking about me. Or like, that's just, they're having a bad day. Like I just rationalized it. But like, once you tap into your nervous system, you realize like, no, that was the moment. That was it. I knew the date. I knew exactly the event. And that is what I'm like leaning into. You talk about discernment, but like, that is really what I'm coming into a lot more. Like I have come into a lot more.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think that's so powerful. And I think I've done EMDR too. And I'm just like, when it comes to trauma, it helps so much. And really knowing that our nervous system is here for us. And like, that is a part of us that is always speaking to us and that also gets taxed, like you said, and you have to tap into it. What do you feel like is the biggest things, I guess, you've learned from growing now your company, being a producer now, like going from, being a successful actress, but now producing your own shows and things like that?
It is the need to expand and trust, right? I've learned, like, once I got very clear with what I want, it's like the things that I'm very clear about, baby, we're not talking me out of that. Like, this is what we're doing. And then, but also I've learned like, okay, well, when you add other people to the vision, you got to listen to those people, right? And so they bring Issa actually taught me this. She was just like, I don't want to F up my own stuff. And I believe they don't want to F up my stuff either because they're part of my stuff. So I got to trust that, like, if they're so passionate about one thing over the other, it's because they care. Now, we got to figure out, how to get to a middle place, but, like, they care. Like, the people who don't care be like, all right, cool, whatever. Yeah. And it's just like, they in the back letting the budget go to be shot. They in the back, like, not paying attention. Like, it's just like, they're making your stuff trash. And so it's like, you actually, it's kind of like when someone's mad at you. It's like when they're like crying, it's like they care. And so for me, it's learning to like kind of let go a little bit and like, okay, here's the rubber band, right? Here's where, like, baby, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is how I need to be supported. And then it's just like, all right, here's the flexibility that I have for you guys. Honestly, I don't care about that. I just need it to look like this. However we get there, I'm gonna leave that to y'all. And it's just been really good. And it's not just, it's beyond delegating. It's really empowering, right? It's empowering people to run with it, knowing that they have parameters and guidelines to stick with. So like, even now as I'm getting ready for my second special, it's like, hey fam, I'm cognizant of the budget. Here's what I would really like. Let's figure it out when you all get all these X and Y pieces in place. And let me see what I'm willing to like let go of at that place. And it's just like, I think once people are able to know clearly who you are and also to know the parameters that they have to work with, I'm not the kind of person you can say no to right away. You're not on my team.
Right.
because it's like, just off the bat, no, like, again, and the thing about it is like, I'm not knowingly coming to you being like, can we get a zebra that costs $10 million for this production that is only $200,000? I'm not ever like knowingly ever going to do that. But
right.
if I'm like, I would love a zebra, it's like, hey girl, okay, can we turn this into a spoof and we can get like a blow up zebra and it's like a stuffed zebra, because that's the only way it's gonna work with in this budget. And then I can be like, nah, that gonna look tacky. But at least I'm like, you thought about solutions.
Right.
You brought me options. I may not like the options. I may even sulk for a day, like, I don't get my way. But it's like, all right, well, what else can we do? You know, like, but to just be like, nah, we can't do that. It's like, so now you're not even thinking creatively. So like, why are you in this business? And that's creative.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's real talk.
That much. I think the more you do something, the more you learn about you. And I used to think like, the things I learned about me were bad, right? And it's just like, no, they're not bad. They're just specific. They're specific to you. And the right partners will not think that it's too much. They'll just be like, this is who she is and this is how she is. And so either you like working with her because you know at the end of the day, we're going to get results, or you just want something easier or whatever, or different or better. Like, it's the same in relationships. The thing you're asking for is not hard. They just can't meet it. And so they try to make you feel like you crazy for wanting, like, I don't know, kindness. It's like, no, that's not what you do. Like, this is not a hard ask. This is not, chivalry. It's hard for you. And again, people lie all the time. Rather than them just being like, hey fam, that's not really like my steez, because nobody wants to admit like they're not good at something. Mm-hmm. Rather than just saying that, hey, I feel like me and you want different things, and like I want you to get what you want. I'm just not that person that can give it to you, fam. That's honest, and that's nobody's at fault. If you want the Susie Homemaker, I feel like if you go like real southern Texas, Alabama, you can find her. I'm not her. And the thing is, you're not wrong for wanting that. You just wrong for wanting that from me.
Right.
And so I think the same goes in business as in relationships. It's like really understanding what you want and like surrounding yourself with the people who value the same thing that you want and can get that for you.
I love that. I feel like being self-aware is one of the biggest cornerstones of good relationships and good business. Like you said, like knowing what you want. And I think so many of us look outside of ourselves to know what we want. Well, what does Yvonne want? Or what do the people on social media want? No, what do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, then you're not going to be able to communicate that to your partner. You're not going to be able to communicate that to a team of people. And so I love that you brought that out, because I feel like a lot of people are struggling right now, especially after the pandemic, because it's like everything got turned upside down. So It's almost like everyone had to ask themselves, now what do you want?
Yeah.
And
it depends on how you were raised too, right? Like if for me, everything was, I had to prove so much before it was accepted. Nigerian family is like, okay, before you can go out to the mall by yourself, it's like, the dishes are washed. I got straight A's. I'm going with these girls who also get straight A's. So it's like, you always have to like put together a PowerPoint presentation to go down the street. You know what I mean? And right. So in adulthood, that stuff don't just leave you because now you're a boss and you're a CEO. Now you're just kind of like, you're in the big chair, but you still feel like I have to get their approval. And it's just like, and they're looking at you like, we're here to service you. And you're like, yes. And in order to, and so you start presenting and you're just like, but what you want, girl? And I had to learn that. Like it took me, I'm so grateful for the pandemic because I had to sat down and be like, here's why all of these things are not working. You're not in the position where you're at the center of it and you're like actively like making moves from a very short place. You're kind of like, oh, and because God is still God and he's still gonna get you to where you're gonna go. he's going to make those things work and thrive, but there's an easier way that doesn't include just the back and forth and the emotional stress and the, will they still like me, or and then retreating to like, fine, I won't do it. It's just like, no, girl, that's energy of like your inner child just being scared.
Yeah.
Scared of being rejected, scared of not being heard, scared of whatever. So it's like, hey, you're still going to say what you want. There are still going to be people that reject you. It don't mean that you stop saying what you want. It just means you find new people. But it's hard. It is hard.
I love that. And it's literally a cycle, and you have to do it at every stage of your life. Find the people that want to roll with you. Find the people that want to support you. Find the people that get you. Find your A-team. Right now, would you say you have found your A-team, or do you feel like you're still building?
I'm still building. I've found the core people that I know, like, we going to the moon and back. And I tell one of them all the time, I said, listen, if this don't work out, I'm telling you right now, it's your fault. And we laughed. I was like, because I had searched for someone like you for so long. I know I'm not messing it up. If it gets messed up, it's your fault. It's your fault. And we crack up. But I think it's that thing that what we have is like mutual understanding. And we talk too much every day. Beyond just like the business of it, that like we're kind of entrenched, right? Like I'll be like, hey fam, here's what I'm feeling, what's good? And then he'll be like, all right, I understand, let me see how I can help you in this situation. Here's where I don't feel good about. And I'm like, I understand, but here's what I would like. And it's not like him bending, I think and I'm talking about my manager, DC Wade, one thing I'll never forget, he was just newly on my team and there was a deal that came and they were like, they want to buy it. And I was like, I don't want to do it. All my agents were like, wait, what? Like, not necessarily career suicide, but they were just like, this is like, why would you not want to do it? And I was like, I don't want to do it. And I remember he called, like, he was probably like brand new on the team. He called and was like, you're never going to get to a day where I don't give you my honest response. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think you should do it. I think you will look up one day and be upset that you didn't do it. But if you don't want to do it, well, let's burn the house down. Let's go. And I was like, all right, we're burning the house down. We out. Yeah. Because it was just like, I appreciate you being honest and being like, I don't agree. But at the same time, it's what you want to do and we'll figure it out later. And I was like, I can roll with that person. One, because they were honest and they may be right, but they gave me the opportunity to be heard, to be accepted, to not be judged. We ended up doing it, but
that's powerful because I think they also let you know they're down for you no matter what. And I think that is very hard to come by, especially as a woman, especially as a Black woman. I feel like we are not used to that type of support. We're used to supporting in that way, but we're not used to that kind of support where we're not judged for saying what we feel, especially if it goes against the grain. And to have that support, because I felt that too. You're like, what? Really? Listen. Now what can we do? Because that kind of support encourages you to follow your intuition, which is powerful.
He's a Black man from Baltimore. And I will always say at least have one or two people of color on your team. It's just that they're not afraid of you and you're not afraid of them. Mm. And it's not even a thing of like, whatever, you can't tell me what to do. It's I'm not afraid of you, so I can be honest. Yeah. And while I understand that our relationship is built off an exchange, especially a financial one, I also actually want you to do good things in your career. And if I can be a part of that, then like, yeah. And at the same time, I respect him. And so when he does something amazing, I'm like, yo, let me tell you, I got to give you your flowers, because like, I need to be honest and telling you like this real, as opposed to like, well, that's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. And it's like, no, it's a mutual, I'll say love fest, but it's a mutual understanding. And we also have parameters and boundaries within that too. Cause I was like, yo, I know you got a wife and child. So let me stop texting you after 6 o'clock because it's that time. You know what I mean? So it's to your point, it's finding the people who are for you. And it's hard. I'm not even gonna sit here and act like I didn't have people who said they were for me and then they turned out to not be. And you just be like, I was setting us all up to win. Like, it could all be so simple. You'd rather make it hard. Like, straight up lied. Straight up just, it's so disappointing and it's so disheartening. And it's like, and I think people think like people in a positions like me, well, you a celebrity, well, you famous. And it's just like, no, I'm a regular human being that hurts, you know? And I think sometimes people attach their own expectation to what they perceive your life is. And you're just like, okay, I mean, sure, but that's not the reality. And it is, I mean, you hear it, and we've heard it all the time. I think before I got into the business, I would hear, you know, Biggie said, more money, more problems. And it's just like, and you're like, really? Because when you don't have any money, you're like, I don't think so. More money, less stress, you know, but, but then you get a little pocket change and then you're just like, I get it. You know, people come into the house and they start adding up numbers and it's just like, they don't know what numbers they're adding though.
Right. That part.
They don't know that tax is 30% in LA. They don't factor that into everything. They don't know that like 70% of everything you make gets dished out somewhere. Right. And so it's just like, okay, you can do the math, but like do the math. Do the actual math, not what you think it is. And I think they just get blinded by all the stuff that, like, personally, I'm not even looking at. I'm not even interested in. When I tell you I don't make money bag moves, it doesn't mean that, like, the moves I make don't make money. Hello. But I don't make money bag moves. Like, I'm not just like, yeah, sure, let's do that. Yeah, sure, let's do this. It's like, no, I want to curate projects that I can be proud of. And also, by the time you invest your energy and your time and stuff, baby, deduct that in the pay. Deduct that, because that you be so mad, like, why did I do this? This won't even worth it. This won't even worth it.
Right. That part. And I think that, to your point, like, when you have people judging you like that, it's really hard for you to, even if you're presenting yourself, if they have a preconceived notion, there's nothing that you can do to take it out. It's just like they're limiting beliefs about themselves and about you. And it's just like, all you can do is be yourself.
Yeah, the projection game is real. People be projecting, and we all do it. You know, it depends on like where you are in your healing journey. I mean, you're talking to a person who has been through a pandemic and is like working on her nervous system. You know what I mean? This version of me is a lot different than somebody who knew me 5 years ago. And so, but at the same time, that's why I'm only allowing people in my life that know how to grow, you know, because it's just like, because then you have grace for the growth. People who don't, you know, who are just like, this is how you are, this is how you start, and this is how you're going to finish. It's like, well, in what world? In what world? In what world?
And I love that you mentioned like working on your nervous system, because I don't think people understand the capacity that you have to work on your nervous system and work on managing your stress levels. The more you decide to scale, the more you decide to grow, the bigger your team, the more you have to make that time for yourself if you want to be healthy. And a lot of people wonder, okay, well, are these people like on drugs or strung out? But it's trying to cope with the stress. Can you talk a little bit about like really managing your stress levels as you've grown?
Yeah, it's so funny. Like the other day, I got a call about a project, and the producer on the other end was like really frazzled by something that they had just gotten back, and was telling it to me in real time. And my first instinct was, I actually don't want to hear this first thing in the morning, especially when it's not processed, because I actually don't want to process this feeling with you.
Right.
That was the old me would have been like, well, let's get the bazookas out. Who we gotta fight? I was kind of like, furthermore, this don't sound like my issue. Like it was about my project, but I was like, something about this don't sound right. And I was able to like keep my stress level down. There was something that they said that like related to me, and I just was like, okay, see, now that part, we fight that part. We fight that part and that part. All this other stuff, I don't know that's not my stuff. And, I was able to call another member of my team and be like, all right, here's how we're going to handle this. Because I also know, like, you also have to protect yourself. I think sometimes when we think we're in leadership, it's like, we have to do it all. It's like, I told, someone on my team, I was like, here's the reality. I can have hard conversations, but I don't like having them.
Right.
So here's where I need you to come in. Here's where I need, and it's not like you're going to do my dirty work, but it's just like, I'm telling you what's bothering me. I'm also not really good at like the Hollywood game of like, you have to like massage people, because if it comes from me, it's not going to sound the best. And I'm not really here to hurt, like, I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I just don't know how to do this dance that people go to school to learn. And I'm like, I didn't have that training. I grew up with Nigerian parents. There's no dance. Are you a foolish girl? That was like, that's how they ask us if we're using our minds. You know what I mean? So like, I don't really know how to do this delicate dance. And so I know that about myself. And I know that I don't want to alienate anybody or make anybody feel less than their best in order to give me their best. So I'm able to be like, hey, fam, here's what I liked about that call. Here's what I didn't like about that call. Here's the issue. Here's how we're going to figure it out. I like your suggestion on how to figure it out. But beyond that, next time, before I get the call, can y'all, just huddle up and then talk to me directly? I'm not saying don't give me the straight, because that's the other thing too. Like, I don't like when people talk and then they distill it and you're like, all right, so here's what we're going to tell Yvonne. No. Tell me everything. But you also know what like activates my nervous system to be like, well, everybody dies. So we don't need that activated unnecessarily. Now, if there's a fire and everybody is dying, well, then let me know. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, figure it out, distill it. You know how I think. So tease out the part that's necessary for me to get, and then bring it back to me. And that's how you protect yourself. Because I used to think like, no, if I'm not in every conversation, if they're not giving me straight, then like they're lying. And then it's like, no, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this, because then how's the rest of my day going to go? And I was really proud of myself because I was able to hear, okay, wow, they're really frustrated. This other person's probably tripping. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. But like, this ain't got nothing to do with me. So why am I getting this call?
Yeah, I love that, because I feel like you have to discern what you're holding and what you're not. And I think so much times when you're a yes or you're a woman, you feel like you have to hold everyone and nurture everyone. And that's just that's just not fair. It's not fair to you mostly. And I think we try to hold everyone's emotions at work, hold everyone's emotions at home. But when you say, you know what, I'm going to let you process your emotions, whether it's a child or a grown-up, and give them a chance to do that, I think that is a way to protect our mental health that I think everyone's going to be like taking a big sigh when they hear that's listening to the show, because I feel like sometimes we just got to give each other permission not to try to handle everybody's problems and everyone's emotions just because they're there. They can be sad, they can be angry, and they can process it on their own.
And also to like, you won't get it right all the time, right? It's like, I was sucked into the conversation. So it's like, I had the conversation, but afterwards I'm like, what didn't feel good? And this is when you're doing the nervousness. It's like, well, what didn't feel good about that? Okay, now I'm able to be like, old me would have been like, I don't know why the hell she calling me. It's like, no, she's clearly frustrated because somebody is doubting what they're able to do. But I know that I like working with her because one thing I know is that she delivers. So I'm not really concerned with what they're concerned about. But like, again, not my issue. And so it's kind of the thing of like, well, how do I not get sucked into the conversation the next time? So it's like, you got sucked in it this time. You can't beat yourself up and be like, why the hell she wake me up at 9 o'clock in the morning? It's like, no. I got sucked into it this time. Next time I can be like, hey girl, did you process this before you called me? And that's not however anyone reacts to that, that's more about them than it is about you, right? Did you process this before you call? Or I can be like, hey fam, before we go further, let me bring somebody else in on this call. And then if they're like, hey, Yvonne, we'll call you back. Great. You know what I mean? So it's like you put the systems in place so that it's just like next time it don't have to be it could be a 10-minute conversation versus a 15-minute conversation. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's incremental, it's steps. It's you. I remember my pastor used to say, Pastor Mike at Spirit of Faith Christian Center, he used to say, life is train or be trained. Mm-hmm. Whether you like the word or not, you're always training somebody or somebody's always training you. Mm-hmm. If you are my friend, you know I'm going to be late. You know I have trained you to know I'm not going to be on time. I will try my hardest, but it's going to be like a 5 to 10 minute grace. Okay? I am better than it used to be a longer grace. I am better. But if you are my friend, I have trained you to know more often than not. And, and I have other friends that have trained me like, okay, they put up boundaries and like they mean their boundaries. So like I could show up late for them, but they're leaving. They're leaving when they said they were going to leave. And ain't no grace. Okay. They have trained me. So it's like for some people, I'm like, damn, it's going to be on me. It's my fault. If I show, it's my fault. It's going to be my fault. Other people, other friends are like, girl, I just got here too. It's like, okay, great. So we was actually early, but then there are others like, it don't work for them. So you got to like process differently. And ideally you should treat everybody like you treat that one friend, but like they haven't trained me to do that. And so I get away with our mutual training. Whereas this person has put, you can call it boundaries, whatever, but we're training. Like you have that one friend that has trained you to know that like, oh my God, like girl, I am dependable. I will help plan your birthday party. I will, whatever. It's like, they're that friend. And then you have the other friend that's like, I will send a check. I'm not going. And it's just like, great. You can't be mad at them unless you want more. But then you have to be like, reevaluate the situation. But they have trained you to be like, this is how they show up. And I either can accept it or not. But like, I am trained to know that that's how they show up.
That is so powerful. I love that. And I think that everyone in any relationship, we all are training each other. And if we don't give each other our boundaries, like Oprah said, you teach people how to treat you. And so, like you said, if you're late and someone's already started, you're going to know, well, shoot, if I want to get that thing, I can't be late because they're going to start on time, But if you know they already start 15 minutes late, you're going to be like, yeah, I got a 15-minute grace period, And so that is just so true. And I love it. And I can talk to you forever, which I love to, but I'm going to respect your time. And I just kind of want to wrap up with like favorite books you've read outside of yours. We all snatching your audiobook and physical book, but what is one of the best books you've read over the pandemic?
Well, I will say the 1 year anniversary of Bamboozled by Jesus is May 25th. Yes. And I have a goal. To sell 10,000 copies before then. There's a number I want to hit, and I am 10,000 copies away from hitting that number. So let's make it happen, y'all. Let's make it happen. I feel like we can make it happen.
I love that. Yeah, everyone listening, audiobook, physical book, help Yvonne hit that goal. How many copies?
We are 10,000. We can do it. And the thing about it is like, if you don't think it's a good book, you don't even have to, my word is not bond, okay? Go to Amazon, go to Audible, look at the reviews. Like everybody is saying the same thing. So I feel like you won't be disappointed. If you're like, well, she's an author, she got to say her book is good. It's good because it is. But also, the people have spoken.
The people have spoken. And if you want to just laugh for 2 days straight, like literally, I think it was maybe 2.5 days. Like I could not put it down. Like anytime I had a moment, anytime I was cleaning, anytime I was in the car, I was listening to it. It was so engaging, so hilarious. It just it's just a feel good book. You just feel good because you're so authentic. You're telling your story and you're just hilarious. I love it. So I think everyone's going to pick up a copy of it because we all need laughs. We all need that realness, and we all need someone to just tell it like it is, and that's what you're good at.
Yes, the audiobook is only 6 hours long, so it's a road trip, or like you said, it's a couple gym sessions. When the book first came out, I was like, people finish it in a day? Like, what was they doing? And so my sister was like, it's only 6 hours long. I was like, oh, we binge watch shows on Netflix.
Yeah.
For 6 hours. That's not even a full work day.
Exactly. You start after work and you finish when you finish, and that's done. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate you. One last question. If you could wake up tomorrow and it was Yvonne's world, what would the world look like?
Oh, man. Ooh. Man. I would say therapy would be free for everybody. Like, it sounds cheesy or corny or whatever, but like, I just feel like people like need to get like, I don't know if it's hugs or smiles or just be like held like very compassionately. To just be like, hey, I see you and I believe in you. Like, I don't even know, like randomly people would just show up and just like hug people, you know, before pre-pandemic, right? Before we knew there was a COVID-19 that could be spread. But like, I don't know. I just feel like there's so many people who weren't given just like the tenderness. It's funny because I've had chronic like neck and shoulder pain. For like 3 years, right? And since doing EMDR, I've like released some of that tension. Like I didn't realize that was like trauma trapped in my body. And you're like, well, what the heck? Like I thought like, everyone's like, well, when was the accident? I was like, there was no accident. Like, it was just like mounds of just heaviness. And now I have more mobility and it's really wild. But I remember like one of the things that I did, it was this like myofascial release massage. And the woman came and she was like, you have had so many deep tissue massages and you think let's add pain to release pain. And she was like, I'm just going to gently touch you. And I was just like, I can't remember the last time I was gently touched. Just like aware, and not like sexually, not like, hey girl, I'm trying to holler, just like, you can breathe. You can, hey, just relax. Like it's okay. for those 90 minutes or whatever. And what's crazy is my mind was like, this ain't gonna work. Like, I need you to get the knots out, get these knots out. But like the next day, I felt better because it was just like a mind F, if you will. It was just like, so you need to tell me just compassion and just like, basically, she was like, your body needs to know it's okay. Like, it doesn't have to fight so hard anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think there's so many people, even when they're okay, still fighting so hard to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to be acknowledged, to, you know, and the half the time they just don't want to have to do any of that. And I feel like I would love to catch people earlier, you know, like I think about people who were in jail who felt like they had to be hard to prove that they belonged. And it's just like, no, baby, somebody just let you down when you were 8. That's a good part. Now there are people who, I'm not a doctor. I'm a failed doctor, psychosocially, whatever. Yes, they're going to be a menace. They're going to be a menace. But I think more often than not, I think people just didn't know that there was anything different for them. Yeah. And, so my world would just be to expose people to possibilities. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you did ask about books. I've read a lot of good books. I just finished Wahala. It was a really good book. I love books that have like touch points on the African diaspora, like touch points. Obviously, Sarah Jakes Roberts' book, Women Evolve. There's been a lot of books. I'm a mixture. Oh, Darius Daniels' Relational Intelligence is really good. I'm really big on like self-improvement and also like fiction. The Girl with the Louding Voice, love that book. Yeah.
Thank you. I love it. I love books too. I read at least a book a week, sometimes more than one. And I just always like asking people their favorites so I can add it to my list and read more. And so thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your love and just everything that you are. Like, so good. I can't wait to see you again in person. I know our paths hopefully will cross again soon, but thank you for so much. And just let everybody know where they can purchase your book and let everyone know where they can find more about what you're doing.
Yes. So you can hit me up at Yvonne Orji, at Bamboozled by Jesus. You can go to bamboozledbyjesus.com. I created this book club kit. So if your book club is looking for a book to read, I have a whole like PDF. Everyone can download it. There's videos for every chapter, like by me, just breaking out every chapter so you get the full immersion experience. So you don't have to like come up with your own discussion questions. Like, I already did that for you. I mean, I like making things easy for people. Okay, easy and slow. And then, yes, at Yvonne Orji on all socials, on Instagram and Twitter. That's kind of where I'm at mostly. But yeah, and then on tour, like I'm doing my second comedy special. So look out for my tour dates. I'm gonna be in a city near you soon.
Yes, I will be looking out for those dates. I'm so excited. And I love that book club idea. I think that is brilliant. Thank you so much for being here. And thank y'all for listening. Every single episode. Thanks for listening. And please leave a review if you haven't already. And find us on social. Let Yvonne and I know your biggest takeaways from this episode. Know what you loved. Let us know what made you laugh. Just give us some feedback on how you're feeling. And until next time, love yourself, love others, and love the world. One day at a time, one breath at a time. Peace and love.
I just want to take a moment to say thank you for being part of the Get Loved Up community. I like to share topics and people making a positive impact in the world, and your feedback means the world to me. If you haven't already left a review, please leave a 5-star review and let me know what you want to hear more of on the show. I'm here for you, and together we're making the world a better place, one day at a time, one show at a time. Thank you for listening.